where they want to go. You just know it's going to be all about early pressure. Maybe seeing something like the Zoe on Uniboy, the Lee Sin in the jungle, something we've seen for PZX quite a little bit, and Invincible on some sort of carries. Actually, his most played champion is actually the Camille, but Renekton let through, instantly going to be picked up by Victory 5, no surprise. You expect Rogue Warriors to lock in the Lee Sin right now. It does lose in that 1v1 matchup, but we saw from the FPX RNG series how much more that can do in the mid game if it doesn't fall too far behind, or if it can get ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of a terrifying pick if it gets ahead, but so are Set and Lee Sin is 8917 and Ice Coke, or maybe those two. It could be Forge on the Set, honestly. It could be Lee Sin top or jungle. I mean, honestly, Lee Sin could be in literally any role at this point. He's kind of insane right now. But over to V5. PZX, he's going to lock in that Rumble for himself.
Yeah, V5 going extremely fast. I mean, this is what happens when so many power picks are left open, right? Rumble's still open, the Varus. They also want to take away the Rumble from the side of Rogue Warriors because we hit on how that is one of Ice Coke's go-to champions. Diana, I think, is definitely going to be locked in for the side of Rogue Warriors to answer that one. The other nice thing about her into Rumble is you do just get the freedom to farm into your level 6. You don't have to worry about something like a Xin Zhao, a Volibear, Lee Sin. These junglers that can come into your jungle, disrupt you, look to duel you early on where you don't have any impact. So I think both teams right now coming out with surprisingly strong 1-2-3s.
Yeah, it feels like heavy meta picks, right, across the entire board here. The only, like, 100% pick, well, I don't think they're all 100% anymore, but, like, week 2, it was Renekton, Lee Sin, and Nocturne were 100% presence in the LPL. All three of them having presence in this series already. We have Camille banned away. We have Kog'Maw banned away as well. So trying to get an advantageous bot lane for the side of Kepler. He's already got himself the Varus, Ezreal taken off, Kog'Maw taken off. Does feel like they're trying to set up Kepler for success.
I'm actually really surprised they banned out the Kog'Maw because since seeing Betty come back into the roster, he's played only 2 games. In both games, it seemed like they were trying to pick very like aggressive 2v2 lanes. So we saw the Kalista come out from Betty once, and we saw the Kai'Sa be the other pick. I think with the fact that V5 have picked up the Varus, there we go. I think Senna and then any Thresh lane are really the only things in my mind that can kind of go into that, go even, maybe try to fight for some prio with the likes of your jungle helping along. But Betty just going to default right back to that Kalista.
Yep, he doesn't care about playing safe. He doesn't care about trying to out-farm the lane. He's going aggro, and we have a Gwen on the opposite side of the board, which is interesting. It means that Renekton is very likely going mid to Uniboy.
Yeah, and I really like what V5 have put together. I love when you pick Gwen into very low range melee champions, a lot of dive, a lot of engage coming into her where, I mean, she's not gated by the lack of mobility. Sure, you have your E, but that's still very hard to chase down in an opposing team. Sure, you can E in, get the auto off, cut that cooldown in half. But you don't really have any good way of locking them down, right? You have the slow with your ultimate. So when the team's going to be running into Gwen, she's going to feel great about hitting her ultimate, continuously getting that off, getting the Hollowed Mist down, getting all the resistances, and being able to take down the members of Rogue Warriors. You have Rumble there to throw down the Equalizer. I think Renekton's really going to thrive in this kind of draft. So for me, really liking what V5's putting together for Rogue Warriors. Still has a win condition. We know it's just going to be all about going in, finding the dive, and getting down the damage. But I feel like the side of Rogue Warriors has more reliable damage to fall back on, a better front line, and more options in how their team composition can play out.
We'll have to see. I have to say, when I see Set and Lee Sin on one team, I'm already
scary.
like on board. Like that's a terrifying combo. But the same can be said for Rumble Varus, right? That's also a combo that does terrifying things. You throw down the Chain of Corruption, the Equalizer on top of it, then the Pierce and Arrow comes through. That's a one-shot combo right there. So definitely feels like this could come down to execution. I'm excited for the mid-game. Like the early mid-game, I feel like everyone's going to be coming online at the same time. And we're just going to, hopefully, have some mental fights around Dragons, around Heralds. I think that is... Yeah, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Lyric. Are we going to see early action in this potential fiesta?
I feel like we shouldn't see too much action within the first few minutes. Rogue Warriors composition has more early action available, just coming from the fact that they do have the Rumble jungle and the Renekton in the mid lane. Both Rumble and Diana want to wait for level 6 more than anything else, so might have to wait a few minutes until we get to that point. But once we get there, I think you're right. It's going to be all about high impact skirmishes, a lot of huge ultimates going across both sides. And then hopefully it's not going to be us waiting for dragon stacking or rift heralds. It's going to be all about the invades and the skirmishes, baby.
We'll have to wait and see. Lyric, this is the battle for the wooden spoon. It's V5 against Rogue Warriors. They're both here in Shanghai. Neither of them have a series win on the board just yet, but both of them have individual game wins that they managed to garner for themselves, importantly. So we'll see which one of those is able to convert that success. For the side of Rogue Warriors, it was a game win over Up, whereas for Victory 5, it was a game win over JDG, which I would arguably value higher than what we saw out of Rogue Warriors beating Up, because Up have had a pretty downward trajectory since that point. But, I mean, do you have a favorite coming into this one, Lyric? Because I feel like this is actually kind of a difficult series to call.
It's very strange, because I feel like if you just look at it on paper, to me, Rogue Warriors should be the favorite, because Forge has been a player who's been around for a while. 8917 actually has a decent amount of experience over the PCS on HQ. You have Betty and Chocho. I mean, Betty's performed at numerous international events and won titles. But I feel like from what we've seen in the LPL so far, I've liked more of what we've seen from this Victory 5 roster. They've had more action in the early game. They've more presence at controlling neutral objectives, especially up towards the Rift Herald. That's something that they get in almost half their games, despite the fact that they're losing all of their games. So I think Victory 5 are a team with a lot of life around them, and a lot of that comes to how PZX and Uniboy work, and then trying to facilitate Invincible in that top side.
And also down in that bottom lane, we do have Reheal against his old team, so there's always a little bit of spice there. But let's take a quick look at the jungle pathing right here, Lyric, because both of our junglers on these AP junglers that do like to farm up a little bit before going for the ganks, but we do have them both pathing towards the top side. So it's possible that we get a little bit of an early skirmish, especially with Set. I feel like setting up those ganks can be very easy if the wave's in the right spot.
That's the thing. So if you're V5, I think you can very easily just clear all your camps and then walk to finish that Scuttle Crab. For Ice Coke, I think he needs to look for some kind of gank first if he wants to pivot into that. So hovering towards Set, letting get Prio, and then walking into River, because it will be quite hard, I think, especially with how much Prio Uniboy has in this situation. If not, you'd expect Ice Coke to probably just walk back down towards the bottom side, and that is what he's going to have to do, but still won't be able to match.
Bit of an all-in on the bottom side. Chocho dodges the arrow, though. And Betty now gets an opportunity to return some spears over towards Reheal, but he'll only get a couple in. So relatively even, but it was just a summoner burn on the side of V5, so minor advantage there for Rogue Warriors as Ice Coke all in here by PZX. He's barely got any HP. It's PZX with the solo kill in the river. And now there's a fight in the bot lane as well. Kepler goes down, flashed onto by Chocho, immediately answered by Reheal, gets the Zenith Blade. But there we go, the battle dance straight back out. Chocho gets himself one.
And we are not kidding much when we say Diana is not a champion early game. You can't go for these kinds of contests. I'm going to assume maybe he was feeling okay about it because his bottom lane was fighting, getting Prio, potentially seeing that solo kill or the 2v2 kill was about to happen in bot lane. But still, Uniboy has push in mid. You even saw the Rumble path through mid lane himself. So just walking straight in here. Nice job managing his heat as well, where he's able to overheat, get the bonus damage and attack speed coming out from his autos. And then Reheal and Kepler trying to cover for their jungler. Chocho just finds a really nice W to set it all up. Betty has the damage, and overall 1 for 1.
1 for 1, and importantly, the Kalista lane getting a little bit ahead. That's going to be so crucial for Rogue Warriors moving towards the mid game. I have to say, though, not a great start to the game for Ice Coke. Getting solo killed in the river, just walking into the Rumble, who's now looking for a play on the top side as well. Invincible might not live up to his name. Oh. Nice little flash from 8917. PZX gonna go for the re-engage. He overheats. 8917 kind of just accepted his fate.
I mean, right, there was nothing he probably could have done. He could have tried to run away, but I think PZX still would have been able to get that kill. The flash, though, was really nice. Invincible getting a bit too low. Seems like he was trying to heavy trade to make the matchup more volatile to bring PZX up in the top lane. So every time we get a kill coming out for PZX, it's always being answered on the side of Rogue Warriors. As, ooh, we actually might get another one.
Oh, there's a ward comes down for Ice Coke, who's going to try and flee from this one, but Uniboy's moving over. The slow is there. Overheat will come through in a second. You're right, there is no flash for Ice Coke. A Dominus now, so they could look for Forge as well. He does have his flash available. There's a kick. Forge is going for the all-in himself. What a clean little play out of Forge.
And it just keeps happening, Munchables. V5 keeps setting up these plays to abuse Ice Coke, but every time someone on Rogue Warrior is able to answer, Invincible was making his way down, but not able to get there in time. Also, giving Forge pretty much a perfect angle to kick him away from Uniboy, so Uniboy's not able to answer. And yeah, feels like we've hit a small relative calm in this early game. I do also want to go back to highlighting for Betty, as apparently I'm not allowed to do that, as we are going to get a replay. I don't think there's too much to this. PZX is waiting in the brush. Ice Coke doesn't have the flash. And I want to see how PZX positions here. Oh, actually, that was actually just really smooth coming out from Forge. And never mind, Munchables. We're about to get some more action.
Forget your analysis. This is 16th versus 17th. This is just going to be pure chaos. As you can see, Uniboy moving down into the river as well. I think Ice Coke will get away with this one for now, though. So you know what, Lyric? Do get a moment for analysis.
One thing I really like when we see AD carries like Kalista come out, or back when it was Samira, right, is one of the most annoying parts about when they are able to get ahead early on and get some early kills is the fact that they do opt into early lifesteal, which makes it a lot more annoying for the enemy bot lane to be able to take any meaningful trades, especially if you're something like Varus that wants to abuse the fact that you outrange her, and now you aren't able to do that. So we are seeing Betty build up a pretty good CS lead in the bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty massive, honestly, when you consider the fact we're 7 minutes into the game, in a professional game, having an almost 30 CS lead is pretty impressive coming out from Betty, especially after he only got the assist in that early skirmish as well. He wasn't even the one to get that first blood for himself. So 3-3 on the scoreboard, though, as we head towards the 8-minute mark here. Sweep up that wave. Oh no, Ice Coke has been found again. PZX, he's living in Ice Coke's jungle. Ice Coke does have flash available, I believe. I can see it over there on the right, and my screen is getting stunned up, though. Moonfall comes on in, and he's able to turn it around with the rest of his team here. It's a kill going over to Betty as well. V5 have been baited and outsmarted. Chocho wants a little bit more, but doesn't quite have the cooldowns to get onto reheal.
I mean, V5 just ran into that one. PZX this time wasn't in auto range like last time. Actually, both times he found Ice Coke in his own jungle, where he's also able to utilize the overheat. Lucky for Ice Coke, his flash was able to come up as well. And then you still see that Uniboy and PZX want to commit. The Moonfall comes out, and yeah, for V5, a bit unfortunate. PZX, I think, hoping he will be able to burn him down, maybe not knowing exactly that the flash is just about to be up, but Uniboy here to answer. I feel like the big thing is Rogue Warrior's going to have a bit of a numbers advantage at first, with the fact that Betty also moved over looking to make this play for the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think I was mistaken about the flash as well, actually. I think it was just still on cooldown when it started the play, but either way, we'll see how this is going to pan out, because Rogue Warriors actually starting themselves off with a very nice 2,000 at the 9-minute mark. It feels like you were saying they would be the on-paper favorite. 8-9-1-7 getting caught out on the top side certainly doesn't help that, but damage onto Invincible before he goes down. At least he gets some minor trading, but it's not going to mean much, because look where Ice Coke is. He was in the base while this trade happens, so there is no answer elsewhere on the map.
You know, thinking about it, I feel like Ice Coke is very lucky with how the last skirmish went, right? Because he was falling so far behind, and with those 2 assists he's able to pick up pretty much on par with Rumble in terms of items. He's still tier 2 boots down and a Ruby Crystal, so there is still a gold deficit there, which he's about 1,000, but it felt like if Rogue Warriors didn't pick up that last skirmish, that PZX could have quickly just completely taken Ice Coke out of this game.
I mean, that's literally been the game plan so far from PZX, right? It's like, where is Ice Coke? I want to kill him again. Which I can respect it. When you're playing jungle, when you have the opportunities to just find invades and 1v1, when you have Prio in your lanes, it's one of the most satisfying ways to play League of Legends. And Ice Coke has been on the receiving end of that. And as you say, 1,000 gold lead still in favor of PZX. But Ice Coke thinks he has an opportunity to go for this Drake with the bot lane Prio. And I'm inclined to agree, since PZX is doing the top scope.
And it's nice to see Rogue Warriors also utilizing their Kalista effectively. It feels like every time we see Kalista lately, it really just falls behind in lane and then is never able to have any sort of impact. You don't get to utilize the fact that you have something like the Ren to stack dragons or go for Baron plays or look for any aggressive plays, as we are seeing V5 continuously look for aggressive plays. I feel like that's one of the reasons why V5 is so fun, and especially going up against Rogue Warriors. Forge!
He went and wanted the wrong brush. Forge gets caught out, actually uses the flash, but it's just answered by Uniboy, and the question mark comes out. Oh, this already feels like it's getting a little bit first alert. This already feels like both these teams really want the dub.
And we're 5-5. It's 18.9k to 18.9k. It just, I don't know. You know, like in theory, it was very easy to see that these teams would be very well matched. They have the same series score, they have the same game score, but I'm still a little bit surprised that this isn't like leaning in one direction at all, right?
I thought it might be very messy, but a little bit stompy as well. So far, this is exceptionally even. Ice Coke having a hard time in the jungle, but elsewhere we've got Kepler having a hard time in the lane, and Invincible having a bit of a hard time in the lane as well. Although he's had a little bit more pressure from his side of the jungle, but Forge managing to step up in a couple of these fights, so now Gordrinker for either mid laner. And remember, when we look at these compositions, it was all about the mid game. And I feel like with one item coming through across the board, when we start seeing more of those mythics coming in, we're going to start to see a lot of action, especially around Rift Herald. It's going to be coming up again in a couple of minutes.
In Rogue Warriors should still have the prio and bot lane to where they will be able to move their bot lane up and look for that one. Speaking of Rift Herald, Ice Coach's Rift Herald was about to time out. He needs to drop that one. You can already tell he's going to drop it in the bottom lane because he needs to actually drop it right now.
Yeah,
there
okay,
it is.
He did drop it. I wasn't 100% sure if he'd actually managed to drop that before he timed out. He did. It's going down in the bottom lane, which, to be honest, you've got a Kalista. You already had Prio. I feel like this would be the lane that you'd select anyway, so not going to be too big of an issue. They can crash the wave alongside it, get some plates into the pockets of Betty. Could do with getting an auto in onto the tower, but he should be able to just get in range anyway and make sure that he is getting his plates. So nice little gold influx for Betty, and I'm loving this new version of Betty where he is playing more aggressive. Oh, Forge maybe finds an opportunity onto Uniboy, kicks him back in. The dominance is there, but Moonfall's going to do a lot. Gordrinker the Q. It's nowhere near enough sustain, and Uniboy will get caught out of position. Nice little kick there from Forge. I feel like his Lee Sin is looking pretty good today.
I mean, I feel like Forge... I don't feel like Forge has ever shown that he's like horrible mechanically in the sense of like being able to hit skill shots and make these kinds of plays, right? There's always been a lot of like other question marks in terms of like his knowledge around trading and matchups and laning overall and positioning in team fights, but definitely showing up so far on this Lee Sin. Uniboy making it a little bit easy because he knew Forge and Ice Coke were there. He just saw Forge show in bot lane to drop Herald. They were actually contesting and fighting over Vision in bottom side river. And maybe Uniboy just thinking he not giving Forge the angle to make that play. He's a Lee Sin. If he has the ward available, he can always go for those types of things. But I feel like more importantly, we have the Immortal Shield Bow coming out on Betty. So now going to be able to start taking a lot more aggressive trades is Invincible.
Yeah, triple needlework straight off the bat. Usually you see that kind of held for a while. I think two of the needleworks went straight into the Haymaker shield, so not ideal from Invincible there. As I guess toying with the idea of a dive, 8917 will have the Haymaker available again. Chocho is here, Ice Coach was hovering as well. But it's all because Rift Herald is just spawning onto the map. It feels like both teams want this pretty bad, but Betty is here, so you gotta believe Rogue Warriors will get it.
Yeah, Betty's here. 8917 is going to back, but he's instantly going to TP. Doesn't want to lose out on that one. And for Rogue Warriors at this point, I honestly feel like you should probably just concede and look to set up Vision on the bottom side of the map, get some damage down on the bot lane turret, but instead they want to posture for a fight. They do have Mythics on almost everyone on their team except Sports.
Okay, Rogue Warriors, they need to pick up the eye still. Unfortunately, to be able to get that immediately engaged by Reheal. Solar Flare onto two, but the Showstopper into the backline. There's a Moonfall on top of him! Rogue Warriors making it happen. They get the Herald, they get themselves a fight, and they turn it into 4.
8917 showing up so big. This is why we love the set with AP jungler combos coming out. Still, that was a bit of an overstep coming out from V5. Rogue Warriors had such massive tempo advantage on you. They had all the vision control because they were already there. Betty was pushing out mid-wave. They're able to find these great angles. And yeah, V5 was getting massively punished in this game, which was extremely neck and neck for literally every second of the game up until like 1 minute ago. It's now suddenly about a 4K gold lead, almost a 5K gold lead for Rogue Warriors. They just picked up 2 towers and a dragon, and we're gonna go into the replay pretty instantly. Reheal kind of posturing, trying to look for the engage. We need to keep our eyes on 8917. Just takes the Renekton, gets that really nice showstopper, does get stunned on the back end of it, but it gives time for Ice Cold to go in with that Moonfall, and everyone gets taken down. It doesn't matter what Invincible is able to do on the other side, because Rogue Warriors composition was all able to dive on the backline. That win con we set up earlier, you can see how easy it is for them to do, but 4v5, the Leona ultimate didn't get to do much. The equalizer not hitting on too many people, and Invincible getting into the fight a little bit too late and jumping straight onto the backline, leaving a few members of his team a bit unprotected.
Reheal. Oh no, you can't miss those. That wasn't even a juke, he just missed. Oh, not good, not good. Yeah, I think the interaction between Set and Diana as well, where the Moonfall pulled everyone back into the Haymaker so that 500 true damage went through across the team was, I think that like tiny little interaction clinched it, as well as Chocho playing actually quite well in that fight to make sure that Forge wasn't completely doomed straight off the bat. As soon as the Zenith Blade went on towards Forge, Chocho just went for his grand entrance underneath his own teammate to make sure there wasn't any massive immediate follow-up onto his teammate. It gave Forge the opportunity to reposition in the fight. So, honestly done there by Rogue Warriors. And now, they're in the drivers. They've got a Callista, they've got themselves somehow just managed to turn it into a 4,000 code lead off of the back of that fight, which is absolutely huge. They've got all 3 tier 1 towers to 0 right now. They already have 2 Drakes. The next one coming up in 3 minutes, it'll be an Infernal as well. Feels like for Rogue Warriors, the world is their oyster.
And there's something I want to highlight about Rogue Warriors in both these teams overall, is that I feel like a lot of people are going to look at them and think, oh, I actually got to stop because Invincible finding some good trading, but okay, he's the least and he's just chilling. But I feel like a lot of people are going to look at these teams and maybe think back to V5 2020 spring, and I feel like both of these teams are much more competent than that and have shown like better games than not being able to pick up a win this split. We need to remember that Rogue Warriors just had a decently competitive series with RNG. Sure, they got 2-0'd, but they made RNG sweat for that win. Both games up until mid-game were extremely even. V5 having a couple series as well, where they're looking very competitive. You already hit on the win over JDG, so I don't want fans to be confused with like, these are the worst teams in LPL for sure. 100%, there's no doubt about it. We look at their series win rate, but I think both have shown that they are more competitive than some of our other like worst team in previous splits.
It does feel like, I feel like we keep on talking about how stacked the LPL is, right? I'm sure people are getting sick of hearing that statement specifically. I don't know. Uniboy jumps back in for the re-engage on this one. Has a lot of sustain for himself. Moonfall used the Haymaker as well. And I think he was perhaps a little overzealous on trying to force that one. Forge TPs in, gets immediately choked down, kicked away. But there's the re-engage from the whole squad. Rogue Warriors are getting kind of low in this one. They're getting away with it mostly. Forge went down. It's 2-1 in favor of Rogue Warriors. V5 toying with the idea of looking for more, but Ice Cold threatening off on the side. Betty still going strong. This will be a tier 2 take.
That's going to be a tier 2. It's going to be, keeping and getting deeper vision into Victory 5's jungle. They're going to steal away all their camps, so PZX also not really going to be able to farm his top side or any other members of V5 for that matter if they wanted to find ways to catch XP. So denying a lot, not only getting the kill, not only getting the turret, but denying a lot from the side of Victory 5. Also, Baron's about to be up in 15 seconds, so Rogue Warriors potentially could look for baits around those instead of engages. We're going to see here, Rogue Warriors set up an initial dive on Uniboy. They do find the engage once Uniboy thinks him and Invincible, it is enough damage to look for the re-engage. Kind of underestimates Rogue Warriors a little bit. They are able to take him down. And then Rogue Warriors just keep finding opportunities for the fact that V5 keeps pretty much re-engaging into them, right? They keep walking up to get some damage down, but it doesn't look like V5 are actually trying to full-on commit. It looks like they're just trying to posture and match damage for damage. But Rogue Warriors have a decent amount of engage, and when you walk up to their comp, they're always just going to take the fight.
Yeah, and even outside of just like compositionally, look at the gold difference. You don't get to match damage for damage when you're an item down. Like, that's not how League of Legends works. There's maths involved, and it includes bigger numbers for Rogue Warriors. And speak of the devil, 8917 is moving up to the top side. He's been caught out in a brush. That's a cheeky little combo coming out with the Leona Rumble. Locks him up on an equalizer, but it's traded. They're playing for the top side of the map because they know they can't contest that Drake, which will be sole point now for Rogue Warriors.
I just love that Victory 5 combined the kind of two standard ways to look to get yourself back in the game. One is cheeky brush plays, one is finding picks on side lanes. They did a cheeky brush play while finding a pick on side lane. So, you know, they know the book quite well for playing from behind, and you know that doesn't bring them back in the game. They're still 5k gold behind, as you just said. Rogue Warriors are now on soul points, so it's kind of even more dire, especially with the fact that there's Infernal Soul coming out, and Rogue Warriors are only continuing to increase their item advantages. You look at the minimap, and it's completely littered with Rogue Warrior wards. But you know what? We still take that they showed us they know what to do.
Yeah, they got a kill, and we take that. I will say, when I'm looking across the scoreboard, there's a couple of differences, obviously. I think PZX clearly the standout player on V5 right now. We were highlighting him coming into today. But the big difference on that scoreboard is Chocho versus Reheal. The impact that Chocho has had on this game versus what Reheal's been able to accomplish is pretty dramatic.
Let it be known yesterday when me and Munchables were drafting super teams. I told him I want to draft Chocho. I respect Chocho. He goes in, he's aggressive, he engages. Munchables did not respect him.
Look,
but here
Chocho
is earning all of our respect.
There's huge amounts of evidence. 0 wins versus 0 wins. I don't think we want to take this too much into account, but fair enough. Chocho is doing very well. He is 107. And, you know, it's Chocho Rakan, right? We know this guy is aggressive support. This is definitely a support that suits his style. It is fun to watch him.
This is his pick, right? This was the champion he would always default back to whenever he would get pulled back into playing in the LPL. So really fun to see. Is Rogue Warriors just going to try to bait out Victory 5? 8917 does have TP, so I think they were hoping they can get Victory 5 to commit more towards the Baron pit, bring Set in on the flank, set up for a really nice showstopper, and just take the fight. As Victory 5, I think you just keep defaulting back to that, push out mid wave, go back in, get some more wards down in the jungle. You can look at side waves, they're both being pushed out for Rogue Warriors, and then just default back to the Baron, keep trying to pull them in.
A bit of an engage as PZX does drop a nice equalizer behind him, trying to buy time. Moonfall not going to hit onto anything, and down goes PZX. As Rogue Warriors take over the fight here. Reheal underneath the tower, but Betty's still going strong. Betty's on the Kalista. Betty is the threat in these situations, but it doesn't matter if Betty doesn't have a front line. Taking down Forge, and now V5 collapse upon the red damage is nuts. And now they go underneath the tower. As I said, Betty's still going. Invincible wants to turn it around, but Betty just dances this one away. Has that Kalista passive, has that martial poise, and now can look over towards Baron.
And that one was a little bit messy coming out from Rogue Warriors. You can see they really wanted the fight, so they didn't want to go for the Baron bait again. They were extremely close to Victory 5's tower, though. It looked like Victory 5 might be able to get away, but they kind of just got out-kited by Betty, like you said. And, I mean, once the Ren came out, he had so many stacks and numerous members like Uniboy and Reheal. He was able to just take it. And now Rogue Warriors will pick themselves up a Baron. And it feels like this game is pretty close to donezo. We do have Dragon in about 1 minute and 45 seconds, so it feels like Rogue Warriors can really solidify that with Soul, but we're going to see here, I feel like for Rogue Warriors, you could have just committed more towards the Baron and pulled them in, so this engage doesn't have to be a bit awkward. You even saw Forge started to walk back because he didn't know that the team was going to commit. Still, Forge finds the Sonic Wave. They do pick up the initial kill, but now you're fighting under Victory 5's turret. Luckily for them, Victory 5 do want to take the engage. They don't care that it is a 4v5. You're missing your Rumble. And no one's able to get on top of Betty. He's able to kite them out, walks Uniboy back, hits the Ren. You have no more source of engage once Reheal utilizes all of his cooldowns, and Reheal was only about 10% HP anyway. And Betty showing up on this Kalista. I like how Rogue Warriors have two different styles with the AD carries and bot lanes they decide to use.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, I like this new version of Betty, right? When I think of Betty, I think of pretty much a role-playing AD carry This Kalista is not so much of a role-playing AD carry pick, right? This is very much we want to win fast, want to be aggressive. You've got to make plays if you are the Kalista player, and you have to be very mechanically talented to be able to pull off Kalista on the professional stage. And, you know, I want to quickly... I don't think I have time. I want to quickly just talk about this fight that's coming up, Lyric. Infernal Soul for Rogue Warriors if they can get this Drake.
I mean, I'll be honest. I feel like V5's only hope is not on taking the fight necessarily. It's on PZX being lucky enough to get close to the pit to find a smite. I don't think that should happen because he doesn't have flash or some ability like an equalizer being able to take away the dragon. Because Rogue Warriors, I think, are heavily favored.
Reheal. That is not the place to be. Chain of Corruption with the equalizer, but it don't do all of too much. PZX will get caught out. Need to work on the back line, but not even a singular trade kill, as 8917 is happy to tank up. He even has a TP, so he can head back to base and rejoin the fray later. And now the quickness comes through. And see you later, V5. Rogue Warriors want themselves their first win in the LPL. This will be a game win for them, their second game win. And it'll put them in match point position. It'll put them as the favorite to take this series. Infernal Soul, they've got the Baron. It feels like they have everything they need to close this one out.
Yeah, and Rogue Warriors coming out with an aggressive performance. They were the ones being aggressive on early, but they turned it around halfway through. And I think this should be good enough to end 2 members of V5 still down.
That's going to be the true 700 true damage rate. 917 there through the Leona shield. Doesn't feel like there's much you can do as a double kill comes through for Ice Coke. And he ain't no diet today. It's going to be the Nexus falling down 23-8, and after such a close early game, after at 10 minutes being exactly even in gold, Rogue Warriors just flip everything on its head at the Herald and roll the rest of the game from there. Beautiful performance, and I have to say that Chocho Rakan feeling real good today.
Yep, Chocho bringing out his pocket pick, Betty as well, going back to something that he's done very well over the years with the Kalista. And I like that Rogue Warriors